All right, y'all, we're coming down the final stretch here. We got a couple more acts here. I don't know if y'all heard sound check, but I heard sound check. I was back there, and I was wondering what was going on, if maybe like a young Willie Nelson had somehow appeared in the venue. I don't know if that's a proper comparison, but that's just what came to mind for me. This is the longest bio of all the acts so far.
Don't read all that.
Listen, he doesn't want me to read this, but I got to read some of it because it's a quite impressive, almost academic list of facts here. Okay, I'm gonna do something spicy here. I'm gonna read this bio kind of in reverse. We're gonna start with the last sentence and we're gonna go backwards. Cause check this out. Abe Partridge here. His podcast, Alabama Astronaut, explores the undocumented music of serpent-handling churches in Appalachia, and it hit the top 10 in Apple Podcasts within a few days of its release. I want to go hear the podcast, you know what I'm saying?
There you go, that's enough.
Okay, that's enough. We good? I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff here. Wait, no, hold on. No, listen. Just one more, okay. One more, listen. His visual art has been in galleries all over the U.S., in Europe, in private collections of many, including Mike Wolfe, American Pickers, and Tyler Childers. It's just cool. He's a multi-talented, multi-dimensional artist, and I'm going to do one more just to make this slightly awkward, my man. Okay. Abe has toured relentlessly with his music both nationally and internationally. He is a regular at the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville and Eddie's Attic in Decatur. He's developed a reputation for moving passionate and sometimes comedic performances at prestigious songwriter festivals such as 30A Songwriters Festival and Americana Fest. And I know that was like 5 things I said I'd do one, but I'm gonna do one more here. Abe Partridge has established himself as one of the most respected songwriters and visual folk artists in the Southeast. Mic drop.
I hope y'all don't believe none of that. Good to be back here in Nashville with y'all. This is a song I wrote about trying to be an artist and a songwriter in a town like Mobile, Alabama. I hope you like it. Neon lights cry and fill the silence of the night as the falsely civilized come to seek their thrills, and the Holy Ghost roams these dripping streets alone, but he can't find a single heart to steal. It's just another smiling face and a phony handshake as them posers fill the art district streets. So I just smile back, ashamed of the whole act. That's the price I pay for being part of the scene. Black flag t-shirt from a designer in New York that in an act of rebellion you bought off Amazon, and you covered your jacket with reproduction band patches that you never listened to even when you were young. But I could love enough for the both of us, but it's getting harder for me to count the cost. And now with every dirty dollar Man, I'm beginning to wonder if there's any purity left in my great art. Now Nero may have played his fiddle, but Rome rotted from the middle, and folks have a way of weaving myths into tales. We know our story all so well. It was heroin and shotgun shells, till my generations are died with Chris Cornell. So maybe it's the influences of my youth that gave me this jagged truth, and maybe it's my punk rock ideals. But this old hippie jam, it's a beach town trinket scam, and like Dylan, man, I'm stuck in Mobile. Now I've given up on crime, so it may appear that I ain't trying. It's just hard to be an artist in this time. So while cursed here to try, I'll close my eyes and I'll sing to God, 'cause I knew you wouldn't listen anyhow. Yes, I knew you wouldn't listen anyhow. Thank you. All right. This is a song I wrote about a girl that I dated for a couple of months about 20-something years ago. I've looked for her on Facebook. I can't find her. I hope she's not at the AVL Festival there. And especially not at the Gray Eagle in the AVL Festival. And if you are, I do apologize. But this song I made was a single on the last record that I put out. It was the last single I put out. They told me to make a video for it, so I did, and I made it out of bread ties with a budget of $0 and a stop-motion animation app on a cell phone. And then through a very same strange set of circumstances, it ended up on country music television, and they started playing it on country music television, and the first week it played, it was #2, right behind Keith Urban. And then by the second week, we fell to #3 behind Keith Urban and a really, really handsome feller. And then by the third week, it was Keith Urban and a really, really handsome feller again. Then by the fourth week, it was Keith Urban, a very handsome feller, and a lady looked like she jumped off a centerfold. And then it was me. And then by the fifth week, my record came out, upon which there is a song called Pop Country is for Posers, and then they removed my song from CMT. But I don't give a damn, because I didn't belong there no way. But anyway, this was a song, you know, I don't know how much Keith Urban paid for his music video, but I can damn sure tell you it was more than $0. You know, what do you call it? I don't know, you know, it was like, for what it was worth, I mean, $0, damn, it went a pretty good ways. So they can have all that CMT shit. We'll keep the AVL Festival, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather be here anyway. Here's a song I wrote about this girl, and it's called Young Love, and sometimes I call it Alabama Sky, so when it came time to name it, I called it Young Love, open parentheses, Alabama Skies, close parentheses. I hope you like it. We were young and in love, in Alabama, but it wasn't Birmingham, it wasn't Mobile. And so we were nowhere, dreamers with a blank stare, running lost highways through the cotton fields. You'd slide over on my bench seat, you'd make a joke and poke fun at me just because I kept a Bible on the dash of my truck. It ain't that I read it much, it was really just there for looks and young love on lost highways. We needed the love. 'Cause isn't it something how young love can turn to nothing if you add a little distance and time passes by. And so I said, let's get affectionate like it says in the New Testament. And we were laughing at tomorrow and grinning through the night. Remember when we'd wander, go floating down the Escatawpa? We wasn't really doing nothing but passing time and running from the knowledge you were soon to leave for college, splashing on the creek banks and trying not to cry. 'Cause isn't it something how young love can turn to nothing if you add a little distance and time passes by. It's a shame we had to grow up and couldn't stay in the moment when our days were long and our passions were high. And well, I helped your daddy move you into the dorms in Tuscaloosa. You better not forget me, you whispered in my ear. I couldn't smile, so I faked it. We both knew I'd never make it, even if I found the money to see you up here. 'Cause isn't it something how young love can turn to nothing if you add a little distance and time passes by. Always will remember the summers that we spent together, them innocent nights 'neath the Alabama skies. Thank you. Y'all welcome Mr. Austin Harper over here on this sad machine. All right, we have reached a portion of the show that I did not have planned. We're winging it from here on out. Here's a song I wrote. Put a Renee there, buddy. This is a song I wrote. I had developed a skill of taking other people's trash and making it valuable to even other people. And there's an organization a long ways away from Mobile, Alabama that does not like it when you do that. And if you do, they start writing you letters, threatening you with aggressive violence if you do not give them some of your shit. And so it happens to be called the Internal Revenue Service. And I had just came back from the desert in the United States military, and I was a little jaded, and I started writing songs back when I was losing my mind in my mid-20s, and I found out, I grew up listening to rock and roll music, and I found out that all the great lyrical songwriters were in the country music category, so I had to go back and listen to a lot of the catalogs of the great country artists, and I happened to be exploring the catalog of Willie Nelson about the time the Internal Revenue Service started writing me letters, and I found out that Willie Nelson had his own problems with the very same organization. And so I wrote this song that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's called Ride Willie Ride, or thoughts I had while contemplating both the metaphysical nature of Willie Nelson and his harassment by the Internal Revenue Service. I hope you like it. Well, I was born in Alabama, and like old Susanna, I got a banjo on my knee. I ain't got a lot of money, but brother, I will make it, so don't you worry about me. 'Cause I'll smoke 'em when I got 'em, I'll sing one when I need to, and I'll try to remember all the words. 'Cause it's troubles and heartaches, but life's still worth the living, and a song to make it easier. So yes, ride, Willie, ride, and roll, Willie, roll. The IRS will take your money, but they can't take your soul. Get you one. I never cared too much for bluegrass music until I moved up to Tennessee. And I learned to pick a banjo in a three-finger style from this hillbilly who grew his own weed. And he'd smoke 'em when he had 'em, and sang one when he needed to, and he'd try to remember all the words. 'Cause it's troubles and heartaches, but life's still worth the living, and a song will make it easier. So yes, ride, Willie, ride, and roll, Willie, roll. The IRS will take your money, but they can't take your soul. Get you another. Of Red-Headed Stranger, is the guitar part all right? I don't sound as cool as old Willie Nelson, but brother, I'm just as high. 'Cause I'll smoke 'em when I got 'em, and sing one when I need to, and I'll try to remember all the words. 'Cause it's troubles and heartaches, but life's still worth the living, and a song makes it easier. So yes, ride, Willie, ride, and roll, Willie, roll. The IRS will take your money, but they can't take your soul. All right. Yes, ride, Willie, ride, and roll, Willie, roll. The IRS will take your money, but they can't take your soul. Thank you. like a silver-robed choir. The sun rose high through the blues. Set the pink sky on fire as I burn with desire and love with you. The back porch squeaked underneath our feet as we danced in this golden hue. And the oranges of autumn were shimmering from underneath the dew. 'Cause colors are all that matter when you're already outside the lines. And what we thought was just scribbles have become a pretty picture in this pale gray night. And our past was pretty shady, and we didn't have a history of doing right. It didn't happen like we planned it, and folks won't understand it, but our love, it ain't black and white. Well, I found you last night as the blood moon shined in dying reds, and the green in your eyes, it was accented by your lavender dress. You hit a long blank stare behind your purple mascara as I so pitifully confessed. I was a 3-time loser. I had a black cloud that followed. I was a formerly handsome mess. And like an evening primrose in midnight yellow bloom, you said to me, I ain't never met a man with no obvious plan and such honesty. And I've been broke too, and money reds and orange blues, and I've seen the darkest valley. You may have lost 3 times, but you won't here tonight. So let's paint ourselves lucky. Colors are all that matter when you're already outside the lines. And what we thought was just scribbles have become a pretty picture in this pale gray night. And our past was pretty shady, shady, and we didn't have a history of doing right. It didn't happen like we planned it, and folks won't understand it, but our love, it ain't black and white. Thank you. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate y'all coming out. I know there's a lot of stuff else going on, but I'm glad you're here. I just got back from Europe and I went over there. I took this canteen with me. When I got back from the desert in 2014, my mother gave me a canteen that belonged to her father. He had carried it across Europe in 1942 through 44, fighting under a guy named General George Patton. He was in the Battle of the Bulge, and my mom gave me that canteen. My grandfather had inscribed his name on it with something or another, probably a knife or a bayonet or something, but he had carved his name, JJP. Those are the initials of his name, JJP. His name was James Jewel Paget. He carved in there Elba, A-L-A. He was from Elba, Alabama. He carved his unit insignia, and on the bottom of the canteen, he wrote England, France, Belgium. He wrote Luxembourg because I guess he didn't know how to spell Luxembourg, and then he carved Germany in there. And I got booked to go play a European tour back last month, and my tour took me from England to France to Belgium to Luxembourg and to Germany, and so I took that canteen over there with me on its second voyage. It sat without a gun but a guitar, and this is a song I wrote in honor of men like that who paved the way for men like me, and this is from my grandfather, James Jewel Paget. I call it JJP from Elba, ALA. I hope you like it. Uncle Sam echoed, crossed Alabama, and reached my pawpaws, cotton-picking hands, and enlisted them for foreign lands. And they took his plow, they gave him a gun, and taught him to march into the rising sun. So the sweat of his brow fell before he'd begun. Give the hell them devils had to come, and they issued him a steel canteen, and he inscribed thereon the letters of his name, JJP from Elba, LA. And soon every country that he would take, 'cause that farm boy sailed the ocean blue. He buried buddies in France and Belgium too, fighting them Nazis nail and tooth, till the Battle of the Bulge was through. He was fighting them Nazis nail and tooth, till he came home with a soul split in two. He married my mama after 8 simple days. He was hard to work, but given to drink, and they had some babies and bought him a place as he tried to forget all he couldn't erase. And sleep was often more than he could bear, 'cause them Nazis would kill him in his nightmares, and he'd hide under furniture as ghostly shells took him back under Patton and pulled back the layers. But he kept that canteen hooked to the back door, and my mama never heard him talk about the war. But one time he tried, and she ignored, too young to know what a hero was for. And then by 58, he was damn near through. He went into town to get his scripts renewed and walked up to a man he never even knew. Said, "Please hold me," looking real confused. Well, he walked up to a man he never even knew. He wanted to live, but his heart refused. Now I've grown old with nothing but this tale. But after going to a war myself, Mama gave me this canteen. I keep it on my shelf. But I wish just once I could have heard him tell, 'cause he carried guilt for making it back alive. And I wonder how many tears he discreetly cried, 'cause back in 1945 a man would hide behind his pride, and he was hard because he had to be. So nobody understood just what he'd seen, but he carved it on the face of that canteen as the weight of war killed silently. And now there's many a man who've gone this way, and I can't help but feel the need to say that, you know, it's a crying shame. No one wins when war is the game we play. Well, you know that it's a crying shame. JJP from El Bay, LA. JJP from El Bay, LA. Shit. I still ain't figured out how to play it yet without getting tore up. My bad. I wrote that song just before I went over to Europe. My cousin came over there with me. I played it at every show. I put the canteen up on stage with me, and I sang it at every show. And we're gonna make some kind of video about it, but I got to figure out what to say about it first. I don't know what to say about it. It's a lot to think about, but anyway, that's my newest. That's the latest. Thank y'all for being here. When people die, and then they die again when everybody forgets them. Let's play some. We better mix it back up. This is going. You can't follow something up like that with something any more sad. So I'll give you something ridiculous. Well, I was headed up the country just a wasting away, man. This city life's a downer. I could use a vacation. My truck broke down in some remote location. Now I'm falling in love. And you were sitting on your front porch the first time I saw you. You wore a wrinkled t-shirt advertising marijuana. And that trailer park you lived in was like little Tijuana. But I'm falling in love, baby, with that white trash lipstick. It looks a mighty fine on you. And oh, baby, I don't understand it, but I think that I'm falling for you, and that's alright. You came a-strutting up to me, said, let me look under your hood. And I could tell by your walk you wasn't no good. You didn't move the way that a young girl should, but I'm falling in love. You had a sheen on your face like you'd been cooking over fryers. Your feet were all tore up from walking through them briars. And that tattoo on your back of the Queen of Diamonds had me falling in love. Baby, with that white trash lipstick, it looks mighty fine on you. And oh, baby, I don't understand it, but I think that I'm falling for you, and that's all right. I couldn't help myself when I sang. Your lips were painted like a white trash masterpiece. See, I've been trying to live up to my family name. My daddy, he's a banker, he's the best in his trade. I know he's got a lot of money, but I won't never be his favorite, 'cause I'm falling in love. And my mama always told me the gospel truth. Said don't smoke or drink or go with them girls that do. I guess I'm going astray just a little too soon, 'cause I'm falling in love. Baby, with that white trash lipstick, it looks a mighty fine on you. And oh, baby, I don't understand it, but I think that I'm falling for you, and that's all right. Get you. And I could tell that you didn't have the greatest of schooling, and your blonde hair dye wasn't doing no fooling, but you were swinging that ratchet like you knew what you was doing, and I'm a-falling in love. And then you slammed my hood, said turn it over now. You were covered up in grease, but I sure didn't care. I said, baby, hop in my truck and let's get out of here, because I'm falling in love. Thank you. I done married her. What are you talking about, son? I'm just playing. Don't nobody tell my wife said that. When my wife ain't here, I have a little bit more leeway. She would not like that. My wife, I left Mobile when I was 18 years old. I got a theological education. I went to 4 Bible colleges in 4 years. Met a woman at the 3rd Bible college that I happened to marry on the very day after I graduated from the 4th Bible college. And we settled down in Northwest Georgia, and I was preaching. And then when I turned 25, they called me to pastor an independent fundamental Baptist church in a place called Middlesboro, Kentucky, that happened to sit in a meteorite crater by an earthen formation called the Cumberland Gap. And I went up there and I started losing my damn mind. And I started writing songs about it, and I started painting pictures about it. And then I decided that I was no longer compatible with trying to be a preacher. And so I decided I didn't know what the hell to do with myself. I was 27 years old. I had no marketable skill. So I loaded everything I had, and my wife and my 2 children at that time, and we moved back to Mobile, Alabama. And I moved into my mom's house, and I went and joined the United States military because I didn't have no marketable skill, and I needed some way to provide for them. And then in 2013, they sent me over to participate in the most horrible thing on the face of the earth. And then by God's grace, I returned back on 2014. And I told the Lord when I was over there, if He'd let me come home, I'd do my best to bring something beauty and some kind of beauty in the world, because all I'd ever done with my life up to that point was bring negativity and violence in the world. I brought negativity in the world through the type of preaching that I did as an independent fundamental Baptist preacher, and I brought violence in the world because that is the work of the United States military. And I started singing my songs when I was already in my mid-30s, and there was some people that was crazy enough to like them. And then I've been basically made it my goal in life now just to ride around this country and sometimes over into Europe looking for people that are also crazy enough to like this kind of shit. And so thanks to the AVL Festival for having me. Yeah. Yeah. I came here to open for Andrew Duhan. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and we had a damn good time. Maybe some of y'all were here, but yeah. And so I called them and said, hey, I'm ready to come back to the Grey Eagle. Let's book something. They said, come back to this thing. So here I am. And y'all were, you know, you bought passes for this. You guys probably spent, what, $100 or something like that? $50. All right. So... And so out of all the shit, you look down at your lineup on the AVL Fest, and you were like, what am I going to do with Sunday night at 6 o'clock? And you were like, you know what? I hope AVL has that middle-aged white dude from Alabama come up and sing some songs about himself, you know? And so this is the time in the show where I make all of your wildest dreams come true. And I sing a song I wrote about myself. I hope you like it. It's called Coffee on the Counter. Coffee's on the counter, the morning sun still sleeps. I went out alone to ponder in the black summer heat. I sat down in my daddy's rocker to sway through the memories of back when I was younger, before the coffee stained my tea, before the coffee stained my tea. My daddy raised a fighter, but I can't identify a foe. The devil and I conspire to make sure I never know. Sometimes I stare in the fire, I swing at every shadow. I guess I've always had some style, I just never found my show. I guess I never found my show. Well, I've been a holy preacher with heavenly experience, and I've been teenage anger that I couldn't properly express, and I've been a rock and roll singer. I'm screaming for another chance, and some will call me a sinner, but to me there was no difference. No, there wasn't no difference. coffee's on the counter. Now I done lost track of time. It's been cooling for an hour. Man, I must be losing my mind. I'll crawl to the shower. I'll dig down deep to find some feeling that isn't sour. I'll try to forget all these lines. I'll try to forget all these lines. Well, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Now, let's see. Why don't we put her in E, bud? That's a song I don't hardly ever sing live anymore on account that I sang. This was back in June of last year. I sang like for a week or something at a bunch of shows, and I was doing it very unsensibly by drinking. Turns out whiskey is a dehydrator, and the vocal cords require good hydration. And then I went to this Six Flags, where I got on the roller coaster with my child, and I screamed like a little bitch. And when I did so, it broke my vocal cord. And then I had to cancel like 3 weeks worth of shows. And why was I telling you? Oh, yes, because after that, I had to go see this doctor at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, and it was not a fun experience. And so I quit singing this song because it was too high in my vocal register. But you know, we're here at the AVL Festival, so screw it. Just E, A, and B. Yeah. Turns out it's pretty easy to play with me. All you gotta know is 3 chords. Well, I bought me a guitar at a corner pawn shop. I played Guitar Hero, now I really wanna rock. I bought me a music book I couldn't even read. Man, I'm gonna have to find someone to teach me. So I'm going to the city where the rock and rollers live. I gassed up my truck and down the road I went. So I went up into Seattle to find the ghost of Kurt Cobain and learn to play some grunge guitar like Alice in Chains. But all, oh my God, this is why I don't do it so bad. So I went up into Seattle to find the ghost of Kurt Cobain and learn to play some grunge guitar like Alice in Chains. But all I found were hipsters with their lumberjack beards and their trendy coffee shops and their fancy gelled up hair. So I asked this homeless dude, where's the underground scene? He said, punk is dead and it ain't had no recovery. And so I figured I should try my hand at old school R&B. Maybe Detroit City is where that I should be. I could grow a white boy afro and learn some funky moves and get some black girls behind me singing shoo bop shoo woo. But Motown left there years ago and there was no R&B. Well, I guess Detroit City just wasn't for me. This happens to be one of the longest songs I ever wrote, so y'all buckle your seatbelt. I hope I can remember it. As I headed down to San Francisco just to find my hippie soul, I went to Hayden-Ashbury where all the hippies go. I walked around barefooted, I put flowers in my hair, and I took a trip on LSD, but I didn't get nowhere. To this mystic Maharishi said, you gotta find yourself. So I packed up my truck and I headed back south. And yeah, my mama was the biggest fan, so I was raised on Elvis. Surely I could find some rockabilly pickers down in Memphis, 'cause they had Johnny Cash and Carl Perkins. But now the Sun Studio is just a museum. That kind of music don't sell many records anymore. Well, I guess a rockabilly, it ain't a big deal no more. After I done wrote that song, somebody came up to me about a year after I wrote it and said, hey man, you ain't supposed to rhyme Perkins with museum. I said, you can if you're from Alabama, brother. And so I figured I should get back to the home of the blues. The Mississippi Delta was the best that I could do. I went to the crossroads of Robert Johnson fame, and I waited there to midnight, and I called the devil's name. And I guess it is ridiculous, but I waited there for hours. The sun came up and I still had no rock and roll powers. So then I headed up to Nashville to become a country star, and I seen $1,500 boots and fancy guitars played by GQ models and centerfold dolls. Man, what they're calling country, it ain't country at all. It's just a cookie cutter product of a crooked industry. And I don't know about you, brother, but it just wasn't for me. So well, maybe punk is dead, maybe the hippies are through, and R&B and rockabilly have done all that they can do. And maybe the devil ain't still teaching the blues, and Nashville's been taken by these business suits. I'll just play it like I feel it, let it come from my soul, 'cause you don't need no teacher to rock and roll. I'll just play it like I feel it, let it come from my soul, 'cause you don't need no teacher to rock and roll. Thank you. All right, thank y'all. I reckon we got time for a couple more. All right, one more, the man says. We got time for one more. Let's see here. Let's see what you want to do, bud. All right, here's a tune I wrote for y'all. It's got more words than that one, I think. If you pay taxes in this country, or at least if you pay taxes in this country about 3 years ago, you paid for the authorship of this song. Because I mean, it's better than a bomb. I mean, it's not great, but it's better than a bomb, right? I mean, it's better than that. But I was wearing a military uniform when I wrote this song. I wrote it in about 20 minutes when I was well, I won't go into the exact set of circumstances, but I was pretty damn stressed. And I wrote this song, and I wrote it in 20 minutes, but then I sat around with it for about 2 weeks and tried to make it rhyme. Then it took me about 6 months to learn it. And I call it Partridge's 403rd Freakout. And it's not the 403rd Freakout that I've been taking count of how many freakouts I had. It's actually called the 403rd Freakout because I happen to be assigned to a military unit called the 403rd Maintenance Unit. And so that place will stretch the hell out of you sometimes. And this is the way my brain works. I thought maybe what it would be like if I just sat down and wrote my thoughts as they came with absolutely no attempt at making them make sense. And then I was stupid enough to make it all rhyme and make it into this song here. And then I was even dumb enough to put it on a record. And absolutely no one is ever going to play this on the radio. But that's okay. CMT definitely ain't playing this shit. I promise you. Well, sometimes I think we're already dead, or this trap that I call time is just some inception-like dream state I'm in. As I lay dying, I think maybe we never existed at all. We're just some five-sensed hallucination, or just the mirror image of a higher reality beyond our comprehension. And I lie awake at night. I can't keep my mind from wondering about what it all means, that I have the ability to wonder what it all means. And you know that nobody in this whole wide world can give you the definition of consciousness that doesn't venture off into religion or some kind of absurdist pseudoscience. And since I started listening to both sides without caring on to which side I fell, I found out that there were more than two sides, if you really want to know a subject well, which only led me to more heartbreak as I thought about all the fights that have been started by two sides, and neither one of them were truly wrong or right. And then I started considering the brutality that I witness every day, and how numb to the sight of human suffering that I'd become in my middle age. 'Cause all the fascists and the commies been spewing out their dogmas, taking over the conversations. Any voice that's devoid of an agenda has been removed from consideration. And I started thinking about the weapons of mass destruction, biological and chemical and nukes, and that we could have had them all fired from the push of a button of this orange presidential buffoon. And so I started reading up on how I was going to survive a nuclear apocalypse. And after my research, I concluded I didn't even want to survive to live in a world like that. So even if I try to be positive and convince myself that someday we might actually see peace, well, it's then that I realize in like 1 billion years or something, our planet's gonna cease to be, because the sun has gravity too, you know. And we're being pulled in as we orbit. If we don't find a way to destroy ourselves, then the sun's gonna do it for us. And so, la 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 la, turn off your mind. La 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 la, turn off your mind. La 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 la, turn off your mind. Because an active mind, it's the devil's playground. I told y'all CMT ain't playing this shit. Well, then my mind turned to the scientists, the explorers, and the greatest amongst us all, who gave their lives to learning and research and made great discoveries about the world. And then it occurred to me that all truth exists long before some learned man makes it known. I mean, if you think about it, E don't equal MC squared just because Einstein said it was so. And now, considering this, science kind of seems like a waste. I'm going to devote myself to art. At least an artist creates something of value, a unique representation of his heart. Then I looked around at this plastic world and their frowning faces and their disdain for beauty, and I seen all the poor, starving artists dwelling at the fringes of a cold society. But you know that we would not have fur elise if it were not for this individual named Beethoven. we'd certainly not have the White Album if Paul McCartney never met John Lennon. And I said, well, maybe that's my problem. I miss my Lennon. Somehow that chance done passed me by, and that's the reason I'm standing here singing this stupid song and losing my freaking mind. And then even this stranger thought my tortured mind began to ponder. Lord, I wonder what if Einstein would have met McCartney first while John Lennon was studying the great wonders. I mean, I ain't saying it would have been the Beatles, man, but it would have been interesting to see what they put out, because I know that Einstein had some pretty cool hair, but I wonder if he could twist and shout. And maybe if Einstein had been singing, oh, blah-dee, oh, blah-da, instead of drafting the letter to Roosevelt that paved the way for a nuclear bomb, then a little boy from Nagasaki could have married a pretty young girl from Hiroshima, and they could have sang, oh, blah-dee, blah-da together and taught their children songs by the Beatles. And I can't imagine that the guy that wrote Imagine would have been any use in a science lab unless that lab had the sole purpose of giving world peace a chance. And so we gotta give Lennon to science and Einstein to McCartney. We gotta find a way to get back in time. But then I realized if we ever build a time machine, it'll be based on the scientific work of Albert Einstein. So la 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 la, turn off your mind. La 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 la. It's the devil's playground. Make it sound real scary there. Y'all give it up for Austin Harper over here on that thing. Thank you. Thank y'all. Y'all hang around for Jake Cone. He's going to blow your mind. God bless you.